Hello and welcome again. So last day we had discussed few things about introductory things about electric field. We have defined the electric field or the electric field strength as the electrostatic force experienced by unit test charge provided the test charge is of very small quantity. So these were the expression, and this is the expression for the electric field by definition, and we have reduced the expression for electric field due to a point charge. So here it is, the expression for the electric field in terms of its magnitude, which is due to the point charge q, which we also call as the source charge, whose electric field we are writing here. And in vector form we have written it just like this. So in terms of position vector, we can further write this electric field as in terms of position vector. Suppose that we have, this is the source charge q which is lying at position A, and this is the test charge q naught lying at position B. So we have some coordinate system. We can write the expression in the similar manner as we have done in case of electrostatic force. So here it is the origin of the coordinate system. According to this origin, this is the position vector of source charge r vector, and this is the position vector for the test charge r dash, and we can take that both are of positive kind, so electrostatic force, it will be pointing away. So the electric field will have the same direction as the electrostatic force. It can also be understood from its definition clearly. So the electrostatic force F or E, it will have the same direction, and here it is the position vector, or I can say the unit vector along the direction of this electric force, electrostatic force and electrostatic field simply, which we can write as r cap as we are writing here. So in terms of position vector form, how do we write this? So the electric field, as we have done earlier in case of Coulomb's law, while writing the expression for the electrostatic force in terms of its position vector form. So it is 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught into q upon r vector minus r dash vector magnitude power 3 into r minus r dash vector. So this is how we write the expression for the electric field. We simply divide the electrostatic force by q naught. This is just the condition here, right? So this is how we can write the electric field in terms of the position vector, of the charges. We can also indicate the electric field due to a point charge diagrammatically. Actually, this electric field, whatever its magnitude is there, the electric field due to a point charge is always directed in spherical space. So means if here is a point charge, its electric field can be experienced in a spherical space in every point around its spherical region, or we can say space. So the electric field due to one point charge is found in all we can say space in the spherical form. So how we can represent the electric field due to a positive charge or due to a negative charge diagrammatically? Here is the answer. To represent the electric field due to positive charge first, suppose that we have the positive charge here of some magnitude, right? So the electric field due to positive charge is conventionally represented as by the arrows. So these are the arrows representing the electric field at its near points. So this is the electric field at the near points. At little further, the electric field will be represented by just like this. Arrows are used of different lengths to represent the electric field due to any point charge in the space, in the spherical symmetrical space. The length of the arrow represents the magnitude. Just for understanding, the length of the arrows here represents the magnitude of the electrostatic force as well as the electric field. And the direction in which these arrows point, it represents the direction of electrostatic force and electrostatic field, electric field simply. So from here we can observe, due to positive charge, let us try to understand the magnitude first of electrostatic force as well as the electric field. Due to positive charge, the arrows which are near the charge, positive charge, they are of longer length. So due to this length, we can understand that near the charge, the electric field will be stronger. And also away, at points away from the positive charge, these are the points which are at comparatively longer distance from the charge. At this point, the length of the arrow is short, or we can say length is reduced. So we can say that the reduced length is representing the weak magnetic field, weak electric field of the positive charge at these points. So this is how we understand the magnitude. Near the charge, the length of the arrow is more, representing the strong magnetic field. Away from the charge, the length of the arrow is short, representing the weak electrostatic force and electric field. And what about direction? The direction in which these arrows points, they simply represent the direction of electric field in the spherical shape, or we can say space. What about the electric field due to the negative charge? Suppose that we have a negative charge here of some magnitude. Again, the electric field due to negative charge is taken opposite to the electric field due to positive charge in this way. Just like this. Near the points, the length of the arrow is more, representing the strong electric field, and because the arrows are pointing towards the negative charge, the electric field is directed towards the negative charge. And at points away from this negative charge, the arrows will be drawn comparatively shorter, representing a weak electric field at farther points of a negative charge, just like this. So it is easy to represent the electric field due to a positive charge and negative charge through a diagram just like this. Keep in mind that we are drawing the diagram in 2 dimensions. However, these charges influence the space in all directions in a spherical shape. Okay. So this is how we represent the electric field due to a positive and due to a negative charge. The direction of electric field due to a positive charge is directed away from the positive charge. However, the electric field due to a negative charge is directed towards the negative charge. This is the only difference. Okay. We can also represent the electric field in terms of its components from this expression. So in terms of components, because electric field depends upon the electrostatic force from this formula. So electrostatic force is a vector quantity, so therefore electric field is also a vector quantity which can be resolved into the components. So from here, in general, we can write the expression for the electric field in terms of its components as electric field vector, it is equal to Ex I cap plus Ey j cap plus Ez k cap. This R vector. What is R vector? It is representing the vector between the two charges, from the source charge to the test charge. So this is the R vector. Suppose that this is the situation. This is source charge and this is the test charge Q naught at position A and at position B. So this is the vector R. So this can be written as, it can be written as X I cap, this is the position of test charge with respect to the source charge, plus Y j cap plus Z k cap. This is the vector form of this position vector. And how we can write The value of r vector magnitude means its magnitude, this can be written as x square plus y square plus z square power 1 by 2. So we can make use of these things, and we also know that r vector can further be written as its magnitude times r unit vector. So from here r unit vector can be written as r vector upon r vector magnitude, or simply we can write the magnitude as r. So this is the notation we are going to use here, and for r we are going to use this expression. So therefore the electric field vector becomes equal to 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught into q upon r square, the magnitude of the position of the test charge. So here is the magnitude. So we can write it as r. So it simply becomes x square plus y square plus z square power 1 by 2, which is squared down. So 1 by 2 cancels out with the square. So I am just writing it x square plus y square plus z square here, because the root cancels out with the square, into this r cap. So from here r cap is equal to r vector, which is equal to x I cap plus y j cap plus z k cap. This is the vector r divided by its magnitude, which is x square plus y square plus z square power 1 by 2 simply. So we are writing this expression in place of r unit vector. So we just write it in a simpler form as 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught into q into this x I cap plus y j cap plus z k cap divided by, you can combine these two terms, so it becomes x square plus y square plus z square power 3 by 2 simply. So from here now we can write the expression for the components of electric field. So from this, let this be equation number 1, this be equation number 2. So from 1 and 2, Ex can be written as q upon 4 pi epsilon naught into x upon, this is the x component of electric field, upon x square plus y square plus z square power 3 by 2. Similarly, you can write the electric field in terms of its y component as the q upon 4 pi epsilon naught into y upon this x square plus y square plus z square power 3 by 2. And similarly you can write the z component. So this is simply how we represent the electric field into its components, right? Okay, now we can write the expression for the electric field due to a discrete distribution of charges. So if in a space we have a number of charges, for the simplicity we can take 2 or 3 charges. Suppose that here is charge q1 at position A, it is charge q2 at position B, and it is charge q3 at position C. We are willing to find out the electric field due to all these charges at some common point O. For example, here it is the common point. So it is the let me place a very small test charge q naught here, so that it does not affect the charges q1, q2, q3, which are called as the source charges here. So what is the position of this test charge from first charge? Let it be represented by r1. From second charge q2, let it be represented by r2, and from third charge, let it be represented by r3. So we write the expression for the electric field in a very similar manner as we have written the expression for the electrostatic force. So according to that expression, as we did earlier, the electrostatic force, it is given by 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught. Actually this electrostatic force, net electrostatic force at this point due to all other charges, is the sum of the electrostatic forces due to individual charges. So F1 plus F2 plus F3, just like this, as we did in our earlier session. So from here the electrostatic force we have found it to be 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught into Q1 upon R1 square, sorry, it is also Q naught here, plus Q2 Q naught upon R2 square plus Q3 Q naught upon R3 square. So this is the very general expression. We can take Q naught out of this bracket. So we can take this Q naught outside, so we can write it here. So therefore the electrostatic force, electrostatic field or electric field is given by, as test charge is very small, this ratio electrostatic force per unit test charge, this gives the electric field due to a discrete distribution of charge. So it simply means we divide the electrostatic force with Q naught. So Q naught just cancels out with the Q naught. So we can write it as 1 upon Q naught into electrostatic force as Q naught upon 4 pi epsilon naught into Q1 upon R1 square plus Q2 upon R2 square plus Q3 upon R3 square. So Q naught cancels the Q naught. So we are left with only expression as 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught into this we can write in the form of summation of Qi upon Ri square, where I goes from 1 to 3 if we have only 3 charges. In general case, if we can represent this electric field as this 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught into summation of Qi upon Ri square, as I goes from 1 to n, and may be any integer number 1, 2, 3 and so on. So this is how we represent the electric field due to a discrete number of charges. In vector form, you can simply write the electric field as 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught into summation as I goes from 1 to n for Qi upon Ri square into Ri cap. This is the vector form. And similarly, you can write the expression for the position vector form. And what if charge is distributed in a continuous manner? So for continuous distribution of charge, we will proceed in a very similar manner as we have done in case of finding the electrostatic force in our earlier sessions. So this distribution, it may be in the form of a line, it may be in the form of a surface, or it may be in the form of a volume. So first, as we can take linear continuous distribution of charge. So suppose that we have some length L over which some charge Q is distributed. So what is the electrostatic force due to this length of charge at point O, for example? So we have written the expression for the linear charge density, which simply says that lambda is equal to Q upon L. So for deriving the expression for the electrostatic force first, we simply write the expression as we did in our earlier case. We take the elementary portion of this length dl, we write the expression for the charge over this small length element dl, which is dq is equal to lambda times dl. Here lambda is the charge on 1 unit length of the charge. So therefore the electric field can be written as, in that case, as the electrostatic force per unit test charge. So if we are placing some test charge here, so we can simply divide it. So expression can simply be written as electrostatic field, this is equal to, so it is Q upon 4 pi epsilon naught into integration over whole length lambda dl upon, so what is the position of this length element? Let it be represented by r. So you can simply write as r minus r dash in terms of position vector, magnitude power 3 r minus r dash vector. So this is the expression we write in the very similar manner as we have written in the case of electrostatic force. We simply divide it by q naught. And similarly, we can write the expression for the surface charge distribution. Whenever charge is distributed continuously over a surface, for that we write the expression for the surface charge density, and hence electric field can be written as this is equal to 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught into integration over the surface of sigma ds upon r minus r dash power 3, where r dash is nothing but the position vector of this test charge from some coordinate system, and r is the position vector of this length from some coordinate system, r minus r dash vector. And in terms of volume charge distribution, electric field is given by 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught into integration over volume of rho ds, where rho is the volume charge density, r minus r dash vector mod power 3 r minus r dash vector. So this is simply the electric field due to different charge distribution. There may be a special case where all kinds of charge distribution are there. So we write the expression for the net electric field by summing all these electric field due to individual charge distribution. And the final thing now we are willing to discuss is the electric field at the axis of a circular charge distribution. So let me take that final article for this session. So now I am taking just the expression for the electric field and not for the electrostatic force. You can do the same. So here question is, we are willing to calculate the electric field due to a charge which is distributed in the form of a circle. Where we are willing to calculate the electric field due to this circular charge distribution at its axial line, which is perpendicular to the circular loop. So suppose that, so we have here circular loop of charge. Suppose that we have this loop. Whose center is O and its radius is R. Let us draw a coordinate system with respect to the situation. This is X. This is, let it be represented by Z. This is S, Y. So we have a loop of this charge, which is of positive charge, distributed all over its circumference. And the magnitude of charge which is distributed over this circular loop of radius R, let it be Q. So Q is the amount of charge which is distributed of positive kind. You can imagine this loop as lying perpendicular to the board, half portion of which is lying outside and half portion of which is lying inside. You can imagine it to be in this way. The center of this loop is lying at the plane of the board, and also this axis is lying in the plane of the board because loop is perpendicular to the board. Half portion inside, half portion outside. You can imagine this portion to be out and this portion to be in, right? So for calculating the electric field, we again follow the method of linear charge distribution. So we can define the linear charge density lambda here lambda. Linear charge density of this loop, it is given by, what is the definition of linear charge density? It is simply defined as the charge over 1 unit length of the loop, or whatever length we have. So total charge is q and total length is, because charge is distributed over this length circumference, so it is 2 pi r. So this is the linear charge density. So in order to proceed, we simply consider a very small portion of this ring of length dl. We are taking a very small length element of this ring of charge, loop of charge dl. So what is the charge over this length dl? So therefore we say that charge is dq. So this simply is equal to the charge over 1 unit length, which is q upon 2 pi r, multiplied by length we are having, which is dl. So what is the electrostatic field due to this small charge, or we can say length element? This is equal to, we can write the expression as 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught. We are willing to calculate the electric field due to this length element at this point. Let this point is P. This is the point of observation, where we are placing some test charge Q naught of very small magnitude, negligible magnitude. So whose position is this with respect to the elementary portion. So you can take this elementary portion to be at point C, for example. So, and this is the observation point P. So this CP is the distance, and point P is lying at a distance from the center of the loop, which is, let it be taken as x. So this distance is x. So we can write the expression for the electric field due to this length element at point P. Simply it is equal to 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught into the charge dq upon this distance Cp square, right? I am just writing the magnitude Cp square. This is equation number 1. So this is the small electric field due to the small length element dl, over which charge dq is lying, which can be written as this. Okay, let us elaborate it further. The electric field due to this positively charged loop, small loop dl, it will be directed away, as we have discussed earlier through the diagrams. The electric field due to positive charge is directed away from the positive charge, so it will be along this direction. So dE will be along this direction. You can take this angle to be theta, and therefore this angle is also theta. This electric field now can be supposed to be of two components. One along x direction, which can be written as dEx, and other one as perpendicular, in the perpendicular direction, opposite to the z direction axis. So we indicate it as not with the dy but as den. So this is the representation of the electric field due to this small length element in terms of its components. This is the x component, this is the normal component to the x component, right? You can write the expression for this later. Okay, what we understand from here, that we can find a similar length element right opposite to the first one. There may be a similar length element of dl carrying the same amount of charge. It will also have the electric field at point P, which is directed opposite. It will also make angle theta, and it will also have the same component dex along the x-axis and one in a perpendicular direction, which is den. So because these magnitude will be same, this angle will be same, so therefore these components and these components will also be same for the two length elements. So these components, they are equal in magnitude and directed opposite to each other, and hence they will just cancel out the effect of each other. So we can say that for each length element, the vertical component or normal component is always cancelled out. What component of this length element is left? Only the Dex along the x-axis. So therefore, you can write this here. The component Den cancels out for every length element dl. So therefore, what component of this electric field is left uncancelled? Which is only Dex, which you can write as De times cos theta. From this vector notation, this Dex is equal to De cos theta. We substitute the values of Dex here. So this is the small electric field due to the length element at point C. So this is equal to De simply means 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught into dq. dq here you can write it to be this q upon 2 pi r into dl, right, upon Cp square, where Cp is nothing but Cp. In this triangle OCP, this Cp is the hypotenuse, so you can write it as r square plus x square under the root. So it is r square plus x square under the root, which is on squaring will cancel out. So under root just cancels out. So this is De into cos theta. So from the same triangle, you can write the expression for the cos theta, which simply says that OP divided by CP. So it is OP, which is x, divided by Cp, which is again r square plus x square power 1 by 2. So we just write it in a simple form as Dex. This is equal to 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught into q dl upon 2 pi r into r square into x, r square plus x square. Here it is power 1 by 2. Together it makes the power 3 by 2. So this is the expression for the electric field, small electric field due to small length element dl, at which charge is dq. So what will be the total electric field due to all such length elements making this circumference or loop of charge? So it can be written as, therefore, total electric field, it is given by integrating all such electric fields over the whole length. Or simply you can write, because this length is closed, you can simply write it as by closed integral. So Dex, you can write the value of Dex as 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught into q dl into x upon 2 pi r into r square plus x square power 3 by 2. So we simply have to find out the integration here, and we will get the final result for the electric field. Okay, so I am just making some space here. So therefore, this electric field, it can be written as whatever is constant, we can take it out of the sign of integration. So it is q x upon 4 pi epsilon naught into 1 upon 2 pi r into r square plus x square power 3 by 2. Only we are left with inside integration is dl. So what this term is integrating? This term is integrating sum of all such length elements which will make the circumference of the loop of charge. So from there, the whole length of this circular loop, which is this term is representing, it is q x upon 4 pi epsilon naught into 1 upon 2 pi r into 1 upon r square plus x square power 3 by 2 into this term, which simply results to 2 pi r. So 2 pi r cancels out with the 2 pi r. So we are left with only the electric field as 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught into q x upon r square plus x square power 3 by 2. So this is the electric field due to a circular loop of charge. You can take few special cases. First special case is if this x is 0. What does that mean? This x is 0, it means point P is lying at the center of this loop. So what is the electric field? From this expression it can simply be written as 0. From here this expression, if x is 0 means this test charge is lying at the center of this loop, then electric field at that will be 0. That simply represent at the center of a circular loop, the test charge will not experience any kind of force. It will not move in either direction. And second, if x is very large in comparison to r, this distance is very large in comparison to the radius of the loop. In that case, you can simply drop the value of r in this expression. So therefore, electric field simply becomes equal to 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught into q into x upon r. You can drop here, so it becomes x square power 3 by 2, so simply x cube. You can cancel this x with this x, so therefore the electric field reduces to 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught into q upon x square, which is the same form as the electric field due to a point charge. So if point P, or we can say test charge over the axis, is kept at very far off distance, so far that r can be ignored in comparison to that length. In that case, this loop of charge for that point test charge, this loop charge behaves as a single point charge. So this is what we understand from the electric field due to a circular loop of charge. One more thing I want to make here clear, third case, because the only component which is left is along x direction. So DE is equal to DEX is equal to DE cos theta. So only x component is left. The normal component is cancelled out every time. So that means whenever we place a charge on the axis of a circular loop of the charge, then it just moves over the axis of the loop and not in any other direction. That simply means. And if we place the charge at the center, it moves nowhere. It may be a positive, it may be a negative charge. That's all for this discussion on electric field. We will take the concept of electric field lines in the next session. Thank you.